Okay, so now I have what was left over from baking a turkey, like that jelly part. It's like the gelatin or collagen is the correct term. So it has a few bones, so I'm going to put that in there. Alright, so I washed this off thoroughly. So now what I'm going to do is cut this root end off. Alright, I'll cut this off. Put it here so you can see it. And so some of these, like you see this end right here, that don't look so appetizing. So I'm going to trim a little bit of that off. You want to keep some of the leaves of the celery. Actually, everything I have here I'm going to use. There's a couple more ends I want to cut off here. Alright, so we'll put those there. So now, look at this little baby one. He's so cute. They get smaller as they go in. And also the flavor gets stronger. So that's why it's like this is going to be enough. I'm actually doing 2 pans of stuffing. I wanted to do a mirepoix, which is carrots, onions, and celery. But I don't know what... I had some carrots in the freezer, but I guess I used them and didn't realize I had used them all. And so basically, you want these into like smallish chunks. I know that's real technical, huh? Smallish chunks. About 1/4 inch, because you want a little bit of a bite. And I know I'm not holding my knife and stuff correctly. I don't know. I learned how to cook from my Grandma Carter. And we didn't do all that fancy knife cutting. We actually, you know, we used to, like she used to do something with her hands. But I don't know. I always watched cooking shows and I would read culinary books. So that's why I started using a cutting board like this instead of like the old grandma using the hand to cut the potatoes. Those of you who, you know, you have an old grandma, you know what I mean. How they used to do just peeling in their hands and then they chop it in their hands. So, yeah. So I'm trying to decide. I think that's a good amount for 2 pans. So we got that. Okay, now I'm going to cut up my onion. I would put bell pepper instead of carrots. If you have bell pepper, you could put that in here too. However, the brother that asked me to make this, it's going to be oyster dressing, as we call it. He's allergic to peppers. So I can't put peppers in his. So I'm going to cut up peppers. After I finish this, I'll cut up peppers at the tail end of this. And I'll put those in a separate container and put it in the dressing I'm going to eat today. Yeah. So this is just some onion that I cut up. And like I think I've told you, if you watch my channel, you know how I cut up my vegetables in slices. And then if they need to be chopped up, I chop them up afterwards. Because if I have a recipe that calls for slices, well, I have them. But if it needs to be chopped up, it's not a problem to go and chop them up. See? Also, my onion lasts longer in the freezer. Yeah. And then, bam, it's ready. Ready to go. Eyes ready to go. Where did I get that from? It's like some movie. Alright, again, flip your knife over. Use the spine to scrape. Bam. Check it out, y'all. Well, I guess you can't because it's full. That's the poultry broth. So we just gonna let that simmer, and you still can't see it. Oh my goodness, it's hard to see. Okay, let's get back to chopping up the vegetables. All right, so the last thing I'm gonna add in here are some cut up mushrooms. So I always cut the very end of the stem off. I don't know, because it's like dried out, and I don't know, like all your videos tell you to do that. So this stem is like broke, so I'm just going to take this off all the way. And this one because it's so short. Alright, so I want to cut these up. And, you know, also the end of the stem is quite woody. So, here we go. So I washed these beforehand. And I want to actually mince these up. So, we'll just start by cutting them up like this. Basically, I'm just slicing them one way. And then if it gets unsteady, just put it on the flat end like that. Okay. That one got unsteady, so you see how I flipped it to make it so it was a little more steady, that one. So, here we go. So now, I'm just going to take my knife and like just chop through it because it is kind of tall. Ooh, don't run away from me. You're trying to run away. Alright. So then once you get it kind of chopped down a little bit, then you could take your knife and just do this little move. What's his name? Jamie Oliver. I think he said this is his first knife trick he teaches his culinary students, is to do this to mince the vegetables. So you just put your knife wherever and you just start chopping. Alright, and so what this will do is mushrooms will give somewhat of an earthy umami flavor. Savory, extra savory. So I didn't find any carrots, which is a shame because carrots add this natural sweetness. So, but okay, but it'll still be good. Alright, so I'm going to slide this over here. Take these off the board for now. Throw those away in a minute. Just going to chop through this again. There's a couple of big pieces. And it's okay if you have different sizes. So that was what, 5 mushrooms I'm putting in here for 2 pans of dressing. Alrighty then. So I'm going to take these vegetables and saute them in some butter. Alright, so we got our iron skillet here, and I'm going to add a whole stick of butter. Look at that. I had the skillet warming. See how the butter's melting? So we're going to melt this butter. So again, this is for 2 pans of dressing. Alright. So I'm going to, I don't know if it's better to do it this way. We don't want the vegetables to escape. So there's going to be a few vegetables left, but that's okay. Like, it's very, very little. Try to get everybody in the pool here. All right. So this is on low right now. So we're just going to caramelize these and cook them down and let the butter and the heat do its magic. All right. Put a little more light on this situation. But that looks better, doesn't it? All right. So this is going to take a minute. So I'm just going to let it do what it do here. Let it get heated through, and then I'm going to add the seasoning once everything gets started. All right. I'm going to put a lid on this, and I'll be right back. Alright, y'all, I got the lid on it now. I'm going to put it on medium to get everything heated up. And then I'll be back to season it a little bit here and there. Alright, so everything is starting. Look at it. Ooh, it's bubbly. Bubbly brown sugar. If anybody knows where that's from, tell me in the comments. Bubbly, 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 brown sugar. Bubbly. Alright, so we are going to cook this until most of the liquid has evaporated. So I'm going to put it on high since I'm right here watching it. And then I'm going to put some steak seasoning in it because it has, you know, most of the ingredients I want. It's got a little garlic. Oh, let me check something though. Salt, black pepper, red pepper, garlic, onions. Okay, I just want to make sure it didn't have any bell pepper in it, because that'll tear my brother up. So that's about, so altogether it's a little, like a heaping tablespoon. And again, this is to flavor 2 pans, so I don't want to add all my seasoning at once. Like, I do want to add some sage, but I'm not going to add my sage and poultry seasoning until I'm mixing it together. Alright, so this is going to be so good, y'all. Alright, so I'm back, y'all, and I'm back. I'm back, y'all, and I'm back. Okay, so you can see that the liquid is reducing. It's actually getting a little thicker. Oh, I know it's going to have so much flavor. Oh, yeah, I can't wait. So you can reduce it as much as you want, because remember, we're going to be adding this to dry breadcrumbs. I'm just going to be making oyster dressing, which is with white breadcrumbs. I'm using that, dang, what is that? Farms, Pepperidge Farms stuffing, and it has some flavors in it. So I'll have to look, see what it's got in there. Because, you know, whenever you use them, you do have to consider what ingredients they used as well. So, but it's all like the Thanksgiving flavor profile, so I'm not too worried about it. Yep. That's going to be so good, y'all. Yummy, yummy. Alright, y'all, so we're going to go ahead and make this stuffing. So this is going to be for my brother. So I got 1 package here. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. It's a herb seasoned classic stuffing. Alright, from Pepperidge Farm. But you can use whatever you like. You can even use your own breadcrumbs. So it's up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and get my vegetables and add to this. Okay. I'm going to put this here. Ooh, put this here because my vegetables are hot and they're in a heavy pan. So I need to grab something to bring it over here. Alright, so here they are. So we want about half of these to go in here. So just kind of layer them. And then just kind of guesstimate half. Okay, I'm going to put this bowl a little closer so we don't lose any of this goodness. Okay. So since we got some that's like hiding in the corners, we'll take a little bit here. Alright, so the rest of this will go for the next one. Put this over here for now. Put this back on the stove. Alright, now I'm going to add my can of oysters. It's better if you have fresh, but you get what you got, right? You use what you got. So, just throw them in there on top. Ooh, you're right. I should be looking for broken shells. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and inspect my oysters as I put them in, because it does say to make sure there are no fragments of shells. But when you eat your oyster dressing, you want to be aware of that and make sure you're careful. So I got my scoop here, and I'm just going to scoop it out. I'm going to show you all. I should show you all what's in here. Let me put one scoop in there for now. I'm going to show you all what it looks like. So here's what is in here. It's actually a turkey bone, meat, and the juices. Alright. Alright. So, I'm going to go ahead and put a few more scoops in here. Making sure I don't get any bones. No turkey bones. And you could cut those oysters up as well. I've just left them whole. I think I got enough here. There's a nice bit of meat, turkey meat I'm going to put in there. Ooh, it's hot.
There in the eye.
Okay, I'm having trouble getting that meat out. I'm going to use this real quick. Alright. So we got a little turkey meat in there too. Alright, so we're going to use this. Kind of move it around. So it's actually better to mix with your hands, but since this is going outside my kitchen in my brother's house, I'm going to use a food safe glove. Alrighty then. I think I want to smash some of these oysters as I go. I can still feel the heat though. So we got butter in here. It feels like I put the right amount of juice in there. But before I mix it too much, I want to add my poultry seasoning. Alright, so I got my poultry seasoning right here. Oh my goodness. There's not very much in there. Alright, I'm going to toss this for Mom to throw away. Oh, good catch.
Kid?
It's on your shoulder. Look on your chest. Alright, I'm going to add some sage. I don't know why. It don't want to come out. And I don't want it to pour out. Okay, so yeah, you want to add like 2 tablespoons of sage. So I'm going to taste just a little bit. Okay, since I did use herbed, it does have that. It needs a little more flavoring. Because remember, we put fresh turkey stock in this, and it don't have any salt like you would if you used the can. So that should be what we need right there. Oh, that's hot, hot, hot. Yeah, so. I like that I mixed some of the turkey meat in there. It's a big old piece of bread. Alright, I think that's enough mixing. So, I'm just going to put this in the pan. I think this pan is a little large for the amount I made, but you know what? It's what we got. So we're going to make it work. It's heavy. This bowl itself is really heavy, but it's nice to have. Now they should really enjoy this. I'm going to spread it in the pan. Call them and tell them come pick it up now. Because it's ready when they are. Seems like all the oysters are on one side. Move that over a little bit. Okay, there we go. Alright, I'm going to pour on top just a little more juice and we'll be done. Alright, I'm going to pour a little more juice on the top so if they heat it up in the oven, it'll be plenty juicy still. So just pour it right on the top. So it's going to look a little concerning, but you know what? It'll all get absorbed, and that's all you really need. And then when they bake it, it'll all come together. So I can even do this. Make some of it go in the cracks there. Because you don't want your dressing to be too dry. I'm going to say it's going to take 20 minutes, 30 minutes at 350.